Emily felt as if her life had split into two fragile worlds in one world. There was Liam, the soft warmth of his hands, the gentleness in his voice, the way he made her feel like something more than the broken girl she believed she was. With him, she could laugh, she could breathe, she could imagine just for a moment that she might deserve happiness. But in the other world, the darker one, there were shadows. There was fear. There was the man she had once trusted, the man who had twisted her love into something violent, something monstrous. No matter how far she ran, that darkness stalked her every step, and she could feel it drawing closer. Liam noticed the change in her before she could hide it. He always noticed. They lay together on the hood of his truck, watching the stars. His thumb traced lazy circles on her palm as her head rested against his chest. Shadow sat watchful nearby, ears twitching. At every sound, "You're scared," Liam murmured softly, his voice like velvet in the stillness of the night. Emily swallowed. "I always am." He turned toward her, propping himself on one elbow. "Let me in," he whispered. "Please, Emily, let me help." Her heart ached at the tenderness in his eyes. The way he looked at her, like she was precious, not damaged made something fragile and painful swell inside her chest. She wanted to tell him everything. About the man who had stalked her life like a predator. About the bruises she had covered with makeup, the screams she had silenced with shame. About the night she had fled with nothing but shadow, running for her life. But fear held her back. Not just fear of the man from her past, but fear of what Liam would think if he knew the truth. Would he look at her differently? Would the warmth in his eyes fade into pity? Or worse, disgust? "I'm trying," she whispered brokenly, her voice barely audible. "But it's hard. It's so hard." He pulled her into his arms without another word, holding her tightly as if he could shield her from the entire world. His lips brushed her hair. His touch was careful. She sank into him, wishing she could freeze that moment and live in it forever. But forever wasn't hers to have. The next morning, everything began to unravel. The bullies struck in a new way, this time with venomous words instead of fists. A rumor spread through the school like wildfire. Emily had slept her way through her last town. She was easy. Trash. A liar. Liam tried to brush it off, but Emily saw the flicker of doubt in his eyes, the faintest hesitation when the rumors reached his ears. It shattered something inside her. Not because she believed he truly thought less of her, but because it reminded her of every time she'd been judged. Every time she'd been blamed for the violence others had inflicted on her. She skipped class that day. She sat in the park with Shadow, her knees pulled to her chest, her heart splintering. By nightfall, she had made her decision. She would leave Brooksville. She would disappear again, vanish into another nameless town where no one knew her face, where no one could hurt her, where she wouldn't risk falling in love only to lose everything. She packed her suitcase with trembling hands. Shadow whined softly, sensing her distress. Her vision blurred with tears she refused to let fall. And then her phone buzzed. One message. Just 5 words. But they hit her like a knife to the gut. "Found you. See you soon, sweetheart." Her breath caught. Her hands shook uncontrollably. Shadow's growl rose low and menacing. His eyes locked on the door as if sensing the threat beyond it. Her past had finally found her. Panic closed in. The walls seemed to shrink. The air thickened with terror. Emily fell to her knees, pressing her forehead against Shadow's neck, tears sliding down her cheeks. He whined softly, licking her face as if trying to comfort her the only way he knew how. Her heart screamed for Liam, but her mind warned her not to involve him. She couldn't drag him into this. She couldn't let the darkness touch him too, but deep down she knew the choice might not be hers to make. The nightmare had begun again, and this time it wouldn't let her go without a fight. Emily never meant to let anyone in. She had built her life on silence and distance, on the belief that if she stayed invisible, she could stay safe. But Liam Carter changed that. It started small passing smiles, shared glances, the easy comfort of sitting together without the need for words. Liam didn't ask intrusive questions. He didn't push. He simply showed up time and time again, until Emily's walls began to crack in ways she hadn't expected. For the first time in months, she laughed. She felt seen. And she felt something else she hadn't allowed herself to feel in a long time. Desire. Liam was patient with her, gentle. He treated Shadow with respect, offering the big German shepherd a cautious hand and kind words until even Shadow, always on edge, accepted his presence. Emily didn't realize how much she craved softness until Liam gave it to her through his touch, his voice, the way he looked at her like she wasn't broken. Their connection deepened with every stolen moment. They shared lunch on the grassy hill behind the football field, their knees brushing beneath the cold autumn sky. One late afternoon, he found her sitting alone in the park, her arms wrapped around Shadow's neck as she stared into the distance. Liam sat beside her without speaking, offering her the quiet companionship she didn't know she needed. That was the night he touched her hand for the first time, his fingers brushing hers, tentative and warm. Emily's heart skipped painfully in her chest, but she didn't pull away. "Whatever you're running from," Liam whispered, his voice barely audible over the wind. "I don't care. I just want you to know you're not alone." The words nearly undid her. No one had ever said that to her before. No one had looked at her like that, with understanding instead of pity. But as her heart pulled her closer to him, the world around her began to darken. The Bullies, Derek, Alyssa, and Brooke, were far from done. The first confrontation had humiliated them, especially Derek, whose ego had taken a brutal blow after Shadow's sudden attack. Word of the incident spread quickly, painting Derek as the coward who was chased down by a dog. And the more the town whispered, the more dangerous Derek became. One cold afternoon, they cornered her again, this time behind the gym, where no teachers would hear. "What's your problem, freak?" Derek sneered, his hand shoving her hard against the brick wall. "Think you can humiliate me and get away with it?" Emily's heart pounded. Shadow growled low, teeth bared, but Derek was too furious to notice the warning. "Call off your mutt," Alyssa spat, her lip curling in disgust. Shadow lunged the moment Derek's hand gripped Emily's wrist too tightly. The dog's powerful body knocked Derek to the ground, sharp teeth flashing dangerously close to his face. Derek screamed a sound of genuine terror and scrambled backward as Shadow stood over him, snarling. Emily didn't have to say a word. Shadow's message was clear. One more step, and it would be your throat. The incident should have ended there. It should have served as a warning. But bullies don't forget humiliation, and their cruelty only sharpened. Later that evening, Emily found herself in Liam's arms. He held her close, his hands gentle as he pressed kisses to her hair, her forehead, the corners of her lips. His warmth soothed her shaking hands. They sat in the back of his pickup truck, wrapped in blankets beneath a sky scattered with stars. She told him fragments of the truth, that she had left her old town to escape someone dangerous. She didn't say the full story, but she let him hold the jagged pieces of her for just a little while. And then he kissed her. It was soft, tender, but filled with an unspoken hunger. Emily melted into it, letting herself forget the weight of her past for one breathless, trembling moment. When they finally pulled apart, Liam rested his forehead against hers. "I don't care what happened before," he whispered. "I'm not going anywhere." Emily wanted to believe him. She wanted to trust that this boy, with his haunted eyes and gentle touch, could be her safe place. But even as her heart opened, a sliver of fear remained lodged deep inside her, because she knew the past never stayed buried for long, and somewhere out there, The man she feared, the man she had run from, was still hunting her Dot, and soon he would find her. The first time Emily set foot in Brooksville, the air smelled of cold rain and fresh heartbreak. She arrived with nothing but 2 old suitcases, her German shepherd, Shadow, and a heart so shattered it barely beat anymore. The town was small, the kind of place where everyone knew each other's names, secrets, and business. To them, Emily was an outsider, and outsiders were rarely welcomed. She walked the halls of Crestwood High with her head down, her steps careful, her eyes wary. She wasn't there to make friends. She wasn't there to fall in love. She was there to disappear. Her only companion was Shadow, a towering, muscular German shepherd with steel-gray eyes and an aura of quiet menace. Wherever Emily went, Shadow was by her side, his leash clutched tightly in her fingers. Some students whispered that he was dangerous, others that he was part wolf. But Emily knew the truth. Shadow was her guardian, her protector, the only living soul who knew her secrets, and those secrets were darker than anyone could imagine. It didn't take long for the vultures to circle. A trio of wealthy, entitled seniors, Derek, Alyssa, and Brooke, decided Emily was the perfect new target. She was too quiet, too pretty, too alone. And in the savage ecosystem of high school, that made her prey. The first day they accidentally bumped into her in the hallway. Her books tumbled to the floor. The second day, it was cruel laughter and whispered slurs. By the third day, they weren't even hiding their hostility. They shoved, they taunted. They followed her like a pack of hyenas. Emily endured it in silence. She had been through worse, much worse. And besides, she wasn't truly alone. Shadow was always there. What the bullies didn't know, what none of them could have guessed, was that Emily wasn't running from childhood trauma, or just another broken home. She was running from something far deadlier. A man who had once promised to love her, but instead became her nightmare. A man with power, charm, and darkness in his heart. A man who wouldn't stop until she was his again or dead. Shadow had been trained for this. For protection. For survival. And while Emily prayed she could stay invisible in Brooksville, she knew it was only a matter of time before her past caught up. The only one who seemed to truly see her, not as a target, not as a victim, but as a person, was Liam Carter. Liam wasn't like the others. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with messy dark hair and eyes that carried their own kind of sadness. He had a reputation, the golden boy athlete, the star of the soccer team, but beneath it all, he was broken in ways Emily recognized too well. He had seen too much pain at home, a father who drank, a mother who screamed, a childhood shaped by loneliness. Emily could read it in his eyes. The first time Liam spoke to her, it was after school in the parking lot. Shadow sat dutifully by her side as she fumbled with her bag, her fingers cold and clumsy. "Hey," Liam said softly, giving her the kind of smile that didn't ask for anything in return. "I like your dog," she blinked, startled. "His name's Shadow," she murmured. "Shadow," Liam repeated, crouching slightly to meet the dog's wary gaze. "Looks like he'd kill for you." Emily's lips twitched with the faintest ghost of a smile. "He would," she said quietly. "But he doesn't unless he has to." That was how it began. Simple words. A spark of human kindness she hadn't expected. In the days that followed, Liam found small ways to talk to her. He didn't push. He didn't pry. He just listened. He sat with her under the bleachers when it rained. He offered her half of his sandwich when she forgot to eat. And though Emily resisted, terrified of letting anyone in, she felt herself begin to thaw. But danger was always close. The bullies didn't stop. They escalated, their cruelty sharpening. And all the while, Shadow watched, ever silent, ever loyal. Emily's heart was a fragile thing, stitched together with lies and fear. Yet somehow, standing on the edge of something new, something terrifyingly beautiful, she wondered, could she finally be safe here, or was it already too late?